Welcome to my new UFOs. The situation with my sister too. The situation with my sister I want to go into real quick though. To me it was super normal, and I'll probably go into this in depth in a different video because I kind of think it's hilarious in retrospect. I didn't have any friends at all until third grade, and I had one friend in first grade, but she moved away the same year that I made friends with her. And then in third grade, I got another friend. Before that, my mom actually felt really bad for me in that I didn't have any friends, so she persuaded my sister and her friends to hang out with me out of kind of like a pity kind of thing. And so I was like the pity sibling hanging out, and it was really awkward. And like my sister and her friends would like leave me in a room and go off and do their own thing, and I would be like by myself anyway at my sister's friend's place, like playing with her shit and looking at her books and reading and stuff, making origami out of her cat calendar. So my sister and I, we played. It was very unusual, I think, but also not really that unusual. I feel it was very common for siblings to play this way. But she would like pin me down and spit on my face, or like threaten me that she was gonna spit and then suck it back in her mouth. That's so disgusting. But but she would also like stick her feet in my face. And granted, we're kids. Okay, this is kids doing this. She would stick her feet in my face, and she'd go, "Smell." And oh my god, and we got warts. We got planner's warts on our feet sometimes because we were in swim team, and it's not uncommon. But anyway, she had one on her big toe. This is so damn funny. And she would stick her big toe in my face, and she would go, "I see you," because it looked like an eye. The wart looked like an eye. Okay, it's really funny to me. It's probably just disgusting to you. Whatever. I think it's hilarious. Or there's this time where she would like tie me up to the fireman's pole in the backyard at the playground we had in our backyard, and she would bungee cord me in the summer with like bungee cords and sweaters and literally anything she could find. She would tie me to the pole, and then she would like leave, and it was a survival game on how long I would survive by myself tied to a pole while she was inside doing who knows what else. Yeah, those were our games. And well, also there's this other time where we would wrap ourselves up in Afghans that my mom had made. We would put pillows inside the Afghans, and we'd like roll up like a burrito with these Afghans and pillows, and then we'd duct tape around it, and then we would roll down the stairs into the basement. Oh my god! Oh, this shit is so funny. That is so funny. Anyway, that was like the livelihood of my life. It also explains my very unique interests. Regarding my parents and my relationship with my parents, I shut them out. I completely shut them out. I didn't know how to talk to my dad. He intimidated the shit out of me. He would get really on my case whenever I wouldn't do a chore to perfection because he was so analytical and a perfectionist. I always give this example of the type of person my dad was at this period in his life. He's not like this quite as much anymore, but he used to be so meticulous that when I would make myself coffee or tea in the morning, when I put the mug that we would keep our sugar in, if I didn't have that mug with the sugar just at the perfect angle in the cabinet on the correct shelf with the spoon at the right angle, if it wasn't perfect for when he wanted to go in there and grab it at the perfect angle, it was a problem. If I made coffee for both of us and I did not leave the spoon on top of the coffee pot so that it would warm up, so that when he had his coffee, it wouldn't lower the temperature when he stirred his coffee because the spoon would have warmed up with the heat of the coffee pot. This is how my dad was. And when it comes to mowing the lawn, I feel like this is not uncommon, though I'm going to say it anyway for people who aren't familiar with a meticulous lawn mowing style. But I had to go around everything in the yard. We had a garden, and we had, I think, five trees in the back, two jungle gyms, and three trees in the middle and by the house. And so and a shed. So I had 11 obstacles that I had to mow around 3 times each. So I had to trace around them 3 times, obviously each a little farther than the last. And then I had to go
horizontally perfect lines all the way across, and overlap just enough that I would never miss any grass. In addition to that, next time I mowed the lawn, which would be like a week or two later, would have to be in the opposite direction. So if I did horizontal last time, I then would have to do vertical next time. And then after that time, the next time I mowed the lawn, it would have to be diagonal. And then the time after that would have to be the opposite diagonal. That is the kind of perfectionist aspect that I grew up with, which is a lot of why I am so routine based now, because it helps me. I mean, they were very lenient with me, despite me doing that. They were very lenient with me with the friends that I had. Sometimes they would express their disapproval of the types of friends that I had, but they'd also express approval of other types of friends that I had. And it really just depended on the comfort level of these friends with my parents, whether or not they were sociable with my parents or they completely avoided them. It's so normal, but to me, a teenager already feeling like I didn't fit in, my parents, if they had any kind of negative implication of their behavior toward me or my friends or anything that I related to, it like blew up in my head, and they hated me and they didn't want me there, and I was a waste of time, and I was a burden on the family, and I hated everything that I had to do for them, which was like the majority of the chores for the house, because I got B's in school and my sister got straight A's, so I was stuck doing all of the house chores. Oh geez, it sounds stupid to think about like now, because like really this is a problem, but like in high school it was the biggest deal in the world to me. Like why do I have to? But now as I'm an adult, I'm 26 years old, I realize how helpful doing all the chores in the house was, because now I am familiarized with how to clean things properly, which chemicals to use, how to take care of the animals. I mean, that was huge. I still have a cat. I had a cat when I was growing up, and we actually had 3 cats in our house, maximum cat count at one point, with a dog. It was extremely educational. I don't want to sound like some loser, but it was very helpful in my life, growing up and learning how to fend for myself and take care of myself. And once I started making money with my chores, which is something I was really lucky to get from my parents, because some of my friends had to do chores that were way harder than me in terrible conditions, and they didn't get paid. They just got to hang out with their friends, and that was like the perk. You do this grueling work, and you get to hang out with your friends for a couple hours. So I was really lucky and privileged in that way, and it really helped me learn how to live on my own and be an independent. So it kind of got me in touch with reality. I didn't like it then. It caused more and more emotional turmoil, but the other problem is that I never talked to anyone about it. I didn't even talk to my friends about it, about my displeasure, about my discomfort, about my anxieties, about the tension that I felt in my family problems. Not a lot of people in my friend group even now know what happened in my past, and there's something in everybody's family that's kind of different or problematic or yet to be resolved. At this point in my life, a lot of it has been resolved. I've talked to my parents about a lot of the things that I had problems with. I've actually had to apologize to them for a lot of the things that I did that later down the line, like years later, maybe like 5 years later, I realized how poorly I treated them when they just tried to help. For instance, my mom would try to come into the room when I was throwing a tantrum and try to talk to me, and I would scream at her, and I would slam the door in her face, and I would throw stuffed animals at the closed door, which she was behind, trying to get through to me. And because I didn't let her get through to me, because I wanted her to keep pushing and show me that indeed she did want to care, that she did care, I made it impossible for her to show me. So I literally put up a barrier when they were trying to come into my life and have a presence, a positive effect on me, and I did not let that happen at all. And there were other things and reasons that I didn't want to. I didn't really understand the whole physical affection aspect. My family has never been one for excessive physical affection, and now that I'm older and my relatives are like, oh, hey, Kestrel, and they're hugging me, I'm like, yeah, hi. Okay, it's not that awkward. But it is like it's awkward, and my grandpa who's just like slapping me on the back, I'm like, whoa. My dad does it too. It's so awkward. But when I was younger, like, my parents didn't cuddle me. They didn't like sit. My dad sat me on his lap sometimes when we'd be on the dock at my cottage. And and we'd watch movies occasionally, but like that was so rare. So as I got older, because that was when I was like 7 or so, when I got older, it just totally dissipated. It was gone. It didn't happen anymore. So the familiarity with my family members just dissolved, and it made me really confused about the relationships that we did have, and it just really kind of threw me off. Alright, you guys, this is getting a little too long-winded, so I'm going to continue part 3. The next video will be talking about clothes, like I said this video was supposed to, but we are not going past the 12-minute mark again, because that is ridiculous. So, stick around and check out part 3, where I have a lot of pictures of a lot of styles and a lot of embarrassing looks. And as always, thanks for watching.